You've returned. But look at you. You're badly wounded. What happened? Why don't you sit down and rest?
Rest? I didn't come back for rest. I came back as a victor. A warrior doesn't rest until the battle is won. The arrows they fired at me, they missed their mark. My spirit is still intact.
Tell me what happened. How did you fight through this? How did you come back to me?
I fought, and I never once thought of giving in. The enemy thought they had us beaten. They thought they could break us, break me. But they don't know what it means to stand tall. We fought for every inch, for every breath. And when they tried to bury us in their lies, we dug ourselves out. We stood. We conquered. And I walked out of the ashes, still standing.
But you're so hurt. I can feel your pain, even as you speak of victory.
The pain is nothing. Victory is everything. It was never about how many wounds we took. It was about how many we gave back. This is Sparta. We don't break. Not in the face of battle. Not in the face of death. We never surrender. They thought I was finished. They thought they had broken me. The arrows pierced my skin. The wounds cut deep. But it wasn't the pain that almost brought me down. It was the doubt. The thought that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't strong enough to carry on. But that's not the way of the warrior. Pain? It's a shadow, fleeting and small, in the face of what we are. Warriors rise from the ashes, from the wreckage of their bodies and souls. Stronger than ever. We don't surrender to pain. We embrace it. We forge it into our greatest weapon. I've walked through fire, felt the weight of every blow, every loss, and still I stood. Not because I had no fear, but because fear had no place in my heart. The enemy thought they could break me, thought they could destroy my spirit. But they didn't know. I don't break. I don't bend. They say the warrior is defined by what they achieve, by the victories they claim. But that's not true. A true warrior is defined by how many times they can be knocked down and still stand back up. Every fall, every blow, is a step towards becoming something greater. I stand because it's who I am. I don't fight for glory. I fight to prove that I will never yield. No matter what they throw at me. I've faced battles that broke others, seen men fall to their knees. But me, I stand, and I will keep standing until my last breath. The enemy thought they could break me. They thought the weight of their numbers, the strength of their weapons, would bring me to my knees. But they didn't understand. I am not defeated by their weapons. I am defeated by nothing. They threw their best at me. arrows that should have ended my life, blows that should have shattered my bones. But each time, I rose again. I was never defeated. Not by them. Not by the pain. Not by the doubt. Every wound was a reminder. Every scar a mark of survival. Not surrender. In those moments, when the battlefield was a storm, when the noise of battle drowned out everything else, I didn't listen to the world. I listened to the fire inside me. The one that told me, "You will not break. You will rise. You will fight." And so I fought. And with every battle, I became stronger. Strength is not in the arm, nor in the blade. It is in the heart. The spirit that refuses to bow. True strength is the refusal to surrender, even when every part of you is screaming to stop. They wanted me to fall. They wanted me to be another casualty. But they will learn. I am not just another soldier. I am a warrior, and warriors don't fall. They rise. They fight. And they conquer. There were moments when I stood alone in the silence, when the battle raged on and my comrades fell. I was the only one left. The weight of it all pressed against me. The doubt, the fear, the knowledge that the world had turned its back on me. But in that moment, I knew, I am the last line. I will not fall. Alone, yes. But I was never weak. The warrior doesn't need a crowd cheering their name. Doesn't need the sound of thousands behind them. The warrior's true strength comes from within. It is the quiet strength. The strength that rises in solitude. In the moments when no one else is watching. When no one else can help. That is when the warrior is forged. I stood alone. But I wasn't afraid. The darkness didn't scare me. The silence didn't break me. I became the storm. I became the force that others feared. The one that would not be silenced. No matter how many tried to crush my spirit. When you're standing alone, with nothing but the weight of your choices, you find out who you really are. And what I found out is this: I will never back down. I will never fall. I will never surrender. The world can turn its back on me. They can leave me alone in the dark. But I will still stand. And when they see me rise from the ashes, they'll know I am unyielding. I am a warrior. And I will fight until the very end. There comes a moment in every battle when the storm is at its fiercest, when every part of you screams to stop, to surrender, when the weight of your wounds and your doubts threatens to crush you. That's when the choice is made. Do you fall? Or do you rise? I've been there. I've stood at the edge, with my enemies closing in, my body broken, and my spirit tested. But in that moment, when everything around me whispered defeat, I made my choice. I chose to rise. I chose to fight. I chose to show the world that I am not defined by the moments that almost brought me down, but by the ones where I stood taller than ever. They wanted me to yield, to bow my head in defeat, to accept their victory, but that's not the way of the warrior. The warrior's true power is in the choice to keep going when the world tells you to stop. The warrior chooses to fight when everything seems lost. That is the moment when the warrior is born. The choice to rise is never easy, but it's the only choice we have. Because when you make the choice to rise, you are telling the world that nothing can break you, no matter how hard they try. I didn't just survive that moment. I embraced it. I turned it into the fire that fuels me. I chose to fight, and in that choice, I became something unstoppable. I chose victory, and now, victory is mine. There's a law that binds me, one stronger than any blade, more unyielding than any enemy. It's not written in scrolls, or carved in stone. It's the law of the warrior, and it lives in my blood. And in this law, there is no surrender. This law isn't a choice. It's a calling. It is the refusal to bow. The unrelenting drive to keep fighting when others would quit. It's the refusal to let pain dictate your will. When the world tells you that it's over, the warrior rises, because the warrior knows surrender is not an option. They may offer you comfort. They may promise peace if you lay down your sword. But the warrior's path is not about peace. It's about strength. It's about standing against the world, no matter what it throws at you. The warrior knows no surrender. This is the law I live by, the one I fight for, and it is the law I will die for. Because in the heart of the warrior, there is no weakness, there is no fear, there is only strength, courage, and the iron will to never back down. I am not bound by the will of men. I am bound only by the law of the warrior. And that law says, I will not surrender. Not today. Not ever. When the dust settles, and the echoes of battle fade into silence, what remains? The scars, the wounds. They're the only things that time can't erase. And they tell a story not of defeat, but of survival, of a warrior who stood when the world thought they'd fallen. Victory is not measured by how many enemies you defeat, but by how many times you rise after you've been knocked down. I may have bled, I may have fallen, but I never stayed down. That is what the world will remember. The warrior who refused to surrender. The enemy will be forgotten. The weapons they wield will rust. But the warrior's legacy? That will live on forever. It will be passed down in stories, whispered in the halls of the strongest men and women, a reminder that nothing can break a spirit once it's forged in fire. I may not live to see the future, but my legacy will remain. The world will speak of me, not for the battles I won, but for the one thing I stood for. I never surrendered. And when they speak my name, they'll remember the strength it took to keep going, to keep fighting. No matter how hard the battle, they will remember the warrior who fought to the end and never bowed to the darkness. You may think your struggle is too great, that the weight of the world will crush you. You may feel the pain of every wound, every betrayal, every failure. But let me remind you, you are a warrior. And warriors don't quit. Warriors don't surrender. The world will try to break you. It will throw everything it has at you. It will whisper lies, drown you in doubt, and strike at your weakest moments. But every time it does, you must stand. Every time it tells you to bow, you must rise. Because in that moment, you define who you are. And who you are is unbreakable. Do you hear that? That voice inside you, telling you to give up? It's a lie. It's the voice of the enemy. The voice of defeat. Fight it. Rise above it. The warrior spirit is within you. It's time to unleash it. Stand tall, and know that you are the storm, the fire, the force that cannot be stopped. The time is now. This is your moment. Stand and fight with everything you have. Let the world know who you are. You will not surrender. You will not fall. You will rise. And you will be unshakable. This is your destiny.